أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمد عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إخوة الإيمان السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. We give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Out of His mercy, out of His benevolence, He has gathered us here today, another Friday, in the 21st of Rabiul Awal, which is year 1445 after the migration of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina, which is equivalent to the 6th day of the month of October, year 2023. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has brought us here together this afternoon, accept this worship as an act of ibadah. In continuation with what we have been discussing, last week we mentioned the three types of oaths that we have: al-yaminu al-lagu, al-yaminu al-munaqada, al-yaminu al-sabira. Al-yaminu al-lagu is the oath that we make unintentionally, that the expiation of that particular oath is for you to do what is good that you have said you are not going to do. Al-yamini al-munaqada is the oath that we deliberately made intentionally, that yes, I'm not going to do this for you, I'm not going to do that for you. After some time, we now realize that it's something we need to do, maybe due to persuasion or a kind of conviction. So that kind of particular oath, which is al-munaqada, is the one that we mentioned to us in the Holy Quran, that they have 4 categories of ransom, that we need to choose one to pay out of these 4 categories of ransom for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant our expiation for that particular oath. Number 3 is the al-yaminu al-sabira, or al-yaminu al-gamus, or al-yaminu al-kadiba. This particular one is the one that we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it has no forgiveness on this earth and it has no expiation on this earth. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to do for that kind, for whoever has committed an oath of al-gamusu al-sabira or al-gamusu al-kadiba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that knows what he's going to do on that person on the day of Qiyamah. And I told us that there are 5 things that if we commit any one of them, they don't have any expiation. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to do is best known to Him. The first one is al-ishraku billah, to associate partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2 is al-qatlun nafs, to be killing innocent souls unjustly. Number 3, bu'utum mu'min, to be disregarding or to be bringing reputation of Muslims or mu'min, to be bringing them down, to be tearing the cloth of their integrity. Number 4 is yaminu sabira, that particular oath that we mentioned, that is Allah that subhanahu wa ta'ala that knows what is going to do on the day of Qiyamah. You can see how grievous it is, because it doesn't have expiation, doesn't have kafara. And the 5th one is hukukul walidain, to be disobedient to parents. That whatever you have done against your parents, no any expiation. If they didn't forgive you, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that knows what He's going to do for you on the day of Qiyamah. So we are encouraged to abstain away from all these kind of social vices and all these kind of oaths that we might have been committing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive every one of us. The 4th category, which is clearly different from the three that we have mentioned is the oath that we call al-ilah. Al-ilah. This particular oath basically used to happen in between a husband and his wife. It's not common like the generic ones that we have mentioned. Those ones can happen within anybody, in between anybody. But this particular one is an oath in between the husband and the wife. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to us in the Holy Quran, Quran chapter 2, verse 226 and 227. Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Lilladhina yuluna min nisa'ihim tarabbusu arba'ati ashhurin fa in fa'u fa inna Allaha ghafurur rahim wa in azamu al-tolaqu fa inna Allaha sami'un alim. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Lilladhina yuluna min nisa'ihim, for those that made an oath, yuluna min nisa'ihim, tarabbusu arba'atin ashhurin, that they will abstain away from their wife for 4 months. During the Jahiliyyah period, not the Quraysh now, generally, when there was no enlightenment, when the light of Islam was not there, the kuffar, the non-believers, if their wife wrongs them, they used to abstain away from them for a year, for 2 years or more. They are not going to make an oath. They used to make an oath that I won't have any intimacy with you. So they will abstain. So this kind of oath is an oath of absenteeism from having an intimacy between an husband and his wife. So it is when the religion of Islam now became prevalent on the land, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the mankind, Allah now brought respite for the people on the earth, that this one that you are doing for a year, for 2 years, for more than these years, abstaining from your wife is not lawful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now mandated it and returned it back to what? To 4 months. Brothers, our wives, from when to when can we abstain from them? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that between a period, a complete period of a woman, after she has finished her menstrual cycle, before the next one, her husband must have an intimacy with her. That is the Sheria of Islam. Even if you didn't ask from her that please come, I need your service, the woman should go to her husband. That my husband, this is what the Sheria of Islam says. You should find a way around it. In between the last menstrual cycle that has been completed and before the commencement of the next month. Now, an husband or a husband who now made a vow, which we call al-ilah. He now made a vow, he made an oath that I'm not going to have anything doing with you. They can be eating together, they can be doing all different kind of things together, but the normal intimacy will not be there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now said, فَإِنْ فَاءُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Any husband that makes this oath, and after some time, he now relinquishes his oath, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm ready to forgive that person, and after the forgiveness, I'm going to be merciful on him. So brothers, anybody that make any oath in between him and his wife, that I'm not going to have any intimacy with you, what is the expiation item that we need to pay to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now, Imam Maleek radiallahu ta'ala anhu told us that Abdullah Ibn Abass said that al-ilah can come in 2 forms. It can come fi alatul gadab or fi alatul ridab. Either when you are hungry, you can make an oath to your wife that from today henceforth, I will never have anything doing with you again. It can come when maybe you are under an influence of something, maybe you are under pressure, maybe you are not meeting up your responsibilities. So you might be hungry at a particular moment of time that you declare this to your wife. Or deliberately, you are in a good mood. You just call your wife, maybe you wake up in the morning, you just call your wife that Fatima, going forward, I won't have anything doing with you again. In the next 4 months, I'm not going to have anything doing with you. Now, Imam Maleek radiallahu ta'ala anhu now told us that this is what Abdullah Ibn Abass mentioned, that it can happen during the time of hunger or the time that you are in a peaceful tranquility state. So it can happen in two forms. Now, anybody that now reincide his decision before the 4th month, for info that before the 4th month that you have made up your mind that, oh, I've said it earlier, that I'm not going to copulate with this woman in the next 4 months. Now, maybe at the 2nd month, maybe at the 3rd month, you now discover that, I need to reincide my decision. What is going to be the expiation for that person? I hope you are following me. The boundary line is 4 months. But now, if your hold crosses the 4th month, you have an expiation. But if it doesn't cross the 4th month, you now decide that I'm not supposed to do this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whisper into your head that, what are you doing? Why did you make that kind of hold? Before the 4th month, you now decide your decision. Are you going to pay an expiation or not? The Jumhur Ulama said that if you recite your decision, you recite your oath that you have made before the 4th month, we are going to consider it into the oath of Al-tolaqu, the first oath we mentioned, which I have mentioned to us today. The 3 oaths we discussed last week. The first one that was unintentional, that is if you are in a state of hunger. Fi alatil gadab. So there is nothing you are going to do if you mention that kind of statement to your wife while you were hungry. But before the 4th month, you now reincide it, right? There is nothing you are going to pay for what? For expiation. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already said, Tarabbusu arba'atin ashhurin. The clause has been there that at the 4th month, if you didn't recite your decision, that is when you are going to pay an expiation. Now, it now reached the 4th month. It now crosses the 4th month. This oath has now turned to al-yaminu al-munakada, which you need to pay an expiation for. I hope we are getting it. As soon as it crosses the 4th month, that you didn't copulate with your wife, you have to pay all those ransoms that we mentioned for al-yaminu al-munakada. You have to look for 60 people to feed. You have to look for 10 people to feed. You have to look either you look for 10 people to feed, or you clothe 10 people, or you feed 60 people, or you fast for 60 days consecutively. So you choose one out of all this, and it has to be sequential. If you are unable to meet up with the first one, that is when you go to the second one. If you are unable to make that of the second one, you go to the 3rd one. So whoever has made a vow, has made an oath that I'm not going to have any intimacy with my wife in the next 4 months, and after 4 months, you did, or before the end of 4 months, you didn't recite your decision, you have gone to an oath called al-yaminu al-munakada. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now said, if you recite your decision, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to be merciful on you. Brothers, the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah has mentioned here, is it to forgive him that he has reincited his decision from not getting to the fourth month before he made intimacy with his wife. Or the forgiveness is for him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have forgiven him on the severity of the punishment he has given to his wife. Because if you abstain from your legal right that you are supposed to perform with your wife, it's more or less as if you are punishing her. As we have clearly stated, that a man must have an intimacy with his wife after the end of in between the last menstrual flow, completion of the menstrual flow, till the beginning. Now you didn't consider this. You now say 4 months. So you have already subjected her to a harsh condition. So the Ghafurur Rahim here, is it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward him for reinciting his decision, or to forgive him that he has humiliated, he has placed that woman under unfavorable condition? Our scholar said that different categories of stages of events can lead a person to situation of committing al-ilah. Now, somebody is not around. The husband is not around for so many years. Or somebody, or a husband that was moving from one place to another. For the past 6 months, 1 year, he was unable to come home. He has also fallen into the category of al-ilah, despite the fact that he didn't make any oath. He didn't make any vow that I won't copulate with my wife. That one is not there. But the absenteeism is there. That category of people, what will be their expiation? That is one. Number two, somebody that has weak erection, that is front as a man, cannot perform anything, and the wife is at home. So before the 4th month, he can't do anything. After the 4th month, he can't do anything. That kind of woman in that house, are we going to ask her to continue to be staying in that house? Number three, somebody who is incarcerated, somebody who is in a prison, somebody who is on sick bed, and he has made a vow before this incident on somebody who is aspiring to travel. But within this period, situation now allow him to go out, and he has already made a vow to his wife. Or he didn't make any vow to his wife, but he is not available. What is going to be the expiation for this categories of people? We are made to understand that whoever has made a vow that I'm not going to have anything associated with you, I'm not going to have anything to do with you, he can use his lisan or his qalbu to do an expiation. Fine, you are on transit, but before you travel, you made a vow with your wife that anything between me and you will not come, will not happen. So wherever you are before the 4th month, wherever you are before the 4th month, you want to expiate the vow you have made. The Sharia of Islam has made it very easy for us that with your mouth you can tell your wife you want to do fa'u. Fa'u means to reinsert your decision and make love with your wife or to your wife. You can use your tongue to call her on phone that, oh, so my wife, it's because I'm not around. Had it been I'm around, I will have nullified the oaths that I have made. فَرَجِعَتِهَا بِاللِّسَانِ أَوْ بِالْقَلْبِ. It will suffice for you to use your mouth or to use your intention. We can use intention maybe for somebody who is bedridden, who cannot talk, who cannot do anything. Another case, is for a case of maybe a deaf and dumb person. They have ishara, they have sign language, right, that they use to communicate. But this one cannot do anything. But he has abstained from his wife for 4 months and above. He can use his heart, his intention, to nullify the oath that he has made before the 4th month. But after the 4th month, he has to pay the ransom of al-yamina al-munaqada that we have mentioned, that every one of us knows. Now, somebody who has a weak erection, that has the woman at home, and tactically he is avoiding the woman. Within him, he knows that I'm avoiding this woman. He now avoided her for like 4 months. That kind of a person, we can't call him al-MUHLY, because somebody who is being al-ilah is the person we call al-MUHLY. Somebody who made a vow that 4 months I won't go closer to my wife is al-MUHLY. But somebody who is health-wise, the person cannot do anything, the person cannot perform anything, and he crosses the 4th month, that person is what the person we call al-maridu. He's a sick person already. It's not al-MUHLY. Al-MUHLY is somebody that is strong, but he wants to punish his wife. He said, I won't do anything with you. But al-maridu is the person that has a weak erection. So, if he now has the intention of going to his wife before the 4th month, there is nothing that is going to use for expiation. But after the 4th month, he's going to use all those items we have mentioned. You pick one of them to pay for the expiation of the vow he has made. Now, a man who also cannot perform, but is keeping the wife in the house. The wife is not enjoying anything, and is not communicating anything with her. The next line of action is to take a case like this to the Islamic. We take it to the Sheria court. On getting to Sheria court, the judge is one that will now pass the fatwa. He will ask him, the husband, why are you abstaining from your wife? If he has no any reason, and he's claiming that he still loves his wife, the court of Sheria will now do what? Will now disunite them. That is when the tolaqu will now come in, the divorce. So it's not the man that is giving the divorce. It's not the one giving the tolaqu. It is the Sheria of Islam being pronounced by the qadi, by the judge of the Sheria court, because he cannot satisfy the woman again, and is weak. That is for that. A woman that is not being satisfied in her husband's house, she can go deliberately on her own. She can go to the Sheria court, which is quite different from the first one I mentioned. She can go to the Sheria court and ask for a divorce. This one is not tolaqu. This one is what you call HULIU. A woman to ask that, I want to be disengaged from my husband. I want to terminate this marriage based on so many factors. The Sheria court will now look at it front and back, left and right. They will now do HULIU for them. So, for a woman to ask for divorce, it's a man that can ask for divorce. For a woman to ask for separation, it is called HULIU. The husband's one is called tolaqu, which the Sheria court has the authority and sovereignty on all this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now telling us that لِلَّذِينَ يُولُونَ مِن نِسَائِهِمْ, for those that are abstaining from their wives, that they distance themselves from their wife, تَرَبُّصُ أَرْبَعَةٍ أَشْهُرٍ, that for good 4 months they abstain away from their wife. But after some time, they cogitated very well that if they start going back to their wives that, okay, whatever I have said, I've swallowed it. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah said, I'm the most merciful and I'm the only one that can forgive. Which I've explained the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this. وَإِنْ أَذَمُوا الطَّلَاقِ. If the husband is now thinking about divorce, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm the only person that has the knowledge of what you are whispering and I listen to everything that you are saying. Every one of us, for those that are married, you will be facing series of challenges in your marriage. It depends on how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being enlightened to you that you'll be able to manage it and suppress whatever you are passing through. In some part of Yoruba land, if a husband is being satisfied, a husband is being fed up with a woman, he will not, some of them will not deliberately say it out, but they will pass the woman aside. It's a category of what? Al-ilah. He will abstain from the wife. Even in some family, they will tell the husband that you should be feeding her. Just abandon her. They can even marry another woman for him and keep her somewhere. If it is a rich man, they will ask the rich man to be doing everything, be clothing her, be giving her the shelter, but don't go closer to her any longer. Whoever is doing this is chastising the woman, and there is a wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is dangling on their head. We should not put a woman with the name of marriage and putting them inside bondage. They are entities like we. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept them under our custody. That's why the fact that I said, Al-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa. Doesn't mean that we should not be humiliating them. Doesn't mean that we should turn them to carcass. They have their own respect. You must give to them. So abandoning a woman without talking to her, without having what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has lawfully made or established in between two of you, and without saying anything out, it's more or less as if you are putting her in under adverse condition, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made haram for every one of us. So a woman, if you are okay with a woman, you speak out. If you can't speak out, you go to the Sheria court. The necessary thing to be done will be done in between two of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِنْ أَذَمُوا التَّلَاقَ. If you people are thinking about divorcing each other, which this idofa is going into to who? To the husband. You should do it as it is expected. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah said, whatever you say, me Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala am very much knowledgeable about whatever you say. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that one very day, Sayyidatuna Aisha said, Fi Sahihain, and Aisha anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ala min nisa'i sharan, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam abstained away from his wives for a month. Fanazala litisi wa ishrin. On the 29th day, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam now came back home. They had marital disputes in the family of Rasul. So he distanced himself away from them for 1 month. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam now came back, they now asked him, you know women, they now asked him that the month has not ended. The month is yet to be ended. Rasulullah said, because today is 29. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Asharu tis'a wa ishrun. That each of the month of the Hijriya is what? Is 29. Either 28 or 29. You can never see 30. Except during our Ramadan. But each of this month is either 29 or 28. So they were expecting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to stay till what? Till the 30th day. They confronted him that the month is here to be ended. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Asharu tis'a wa ishrun. So as soon as a month completes a cycle of 28 days, that month is a full month. So, he now abstain away from 29 days. You can see the confrontation of his wife towards him. Now you that you are now abstaining away from your wife for 4 months. What do you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do with you? Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu said, "In zadati mudat ala arba'ati ashhur, falizawjati mutallibati zawj inda qidai arba'ati ashhur." Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, after 4 months, if a man abstain away from his wife, the wife should try to find out what might have gone wrong. This is the climax of what Islam told us. Even before then, as we have said, in between 2 menstrual cycles, a man is ordained on a man to have intimacy with his wife. So you escape the first month, you escape the second month, you escape the third month, you escape the fourth month. The woman should talk to him. My husband, what is really wrong? Are you fed up with me? Are you okay? Health-wise, are you okay? Rasulullah Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala said, the woman should make an effort after the 4 months, after the 4th month, so that they can have peace in the house. And if not, they should seek for the jurisdiction of Islamic jurisprudence to come in between them. If they need to separate, the Sharia court should now come in between them. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about al-ilah, which the expiation is what? Is for you to go back to al-yaminu al-lahu or al-yaminu al-munaqada, as you have mentioned to us last week and as I mentioned at the inception of this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly states all this for us so that we can have an harmonious relationship with our women. After this, completing all these conditions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, from this verse now that we just completed, is the one that now leads us to kayfiyatu at-tolaqu. How did divorce come in Islam? What did Islam told us about divorce? Allah said, وَالْمُطَلَقَّاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ أَن يَكْتُمْنَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي أَرْحَامِهِنَّ إِن كُنَّ يُؤْمِنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ إِنْ أَرَادُوا إِصْلَاحًا وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ وَاللَّهُ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you have made up your mind and you want to divorce your wife, this is the condition you must satisfy before you divorce them. And this is what we call kayfiyatu at-tolaqu. Wal-mutalaqat, those that have been divorced, yatarabbasna bi anfusihinna salasati quru'in. They must stay in their husband's house for good 3 months, 3 circles. And what are these circles? It's been defined as al-quru is the beginning of the menstrual cycle of a woman. Salasatu quru, 3 times. So that woman will be in your house for 3 months. Some scholars said no. It is the completion, after the completion of your menstrual cycle, that you start counting. The first completion, the second completion, the third completion. That is when you start counting, making 3 circles. Whichever one we take, is for us to retain this woman in the house to fulfill the obligation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ أَن يَكْتُمُنَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي أَرْحَامِهِنَّ. And it's not right for this woman to hide what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in their tummy. This period that they are asked to be at home with their husband, the husband must not touch her because the divorce intention is there or it has been established. Before she leaves, she must observe 3 cycles of her menstrual flow in that house. They must not touch each other. There mustn't be anything like romantic affairs. Not to talk of copulating. Nothing like that must happen. So this waiting period for her to complete these 3 cycles is for us to do what? To know maybe something is hidden in her. Maybe she's pregnant or sort. So within these 3 cycles, within these 3 waiting period, months, whatever is in her must have or might have been manifested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now said, you the women, whatever might have been implanted in you is not good for you, and yaktum, for you to hide it from your husband. In kunna yu'mina billahi wal yawmil akhir. If sincerely you people, the women now Allah is referring to, you are sincere and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa bulatuhunna aku biradina fi zalik. And for the husbands, it's good for you as well to stay upright with these women in your homes. In narratted Islam, you stay upright with them. You don't touch them. You have to be feeding them. You have to be clothing them for that period. But anything, intimacy must not be between you and them. In narratted Islam, if you both want reconciliation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it's good unto them and unto us to ensure that there is a kind of harmony between us during this trying period. Allah said, you the husband, you should be more humble because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed them under us. He has placed these women under us. So you should be more honorable on them. Wallahu azizun hakim. Allah said, I'm the most exalted, I'm the most honorable, and I'm the best, I'm the wise, I'm the judge. So whatever any one of us does, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I have the knowledge even before, prior to when you are going to do it. This is the verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned concerning divorcing a woman, which we are going to start next week, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with every one of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us of our shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this as an act of ibadah. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabiyyi ya ayyuhallazina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallim taslima.